So this book, How Emotions Are Made by Lisa Feldman Barrett, is a book that was recommended by someone I met in a networking event. We were talking about mindset and all that stuff, emotions. And funny enough, just 2 weeks prior to that, or maybe even a week prior to that, I made a podcast or recorded a podcast on how I discovered all our emotions, feelings, everything is a model, something we learn or the brain learns or records, and that's how we react, how our emotions are formed, and so on and so forth. More in the sense that brain is set up to protect us, and thereby we kind of get identified with the brain and think that those are all real. These particular emotions are real, or particular scenarios that cause the emotions are real. The emotions are real, but the scenarios are all based on what we're used to, and that's what she gets into. Lisa Feldman Barrett, the whole book is how we think emotions are, or how the science or traditional science thought emotions are, that it was a built-in kind of thing, that we all experience a similar type of emotions or similar things. And also that there's certain brain regions that get activated for certain emotions like fear, so on and so forth. Like, anybody heard about the lizard brain, all that stuff? In fact, I still believe that till she kind of explained that. But many times what happens is there is a body imbalance can also cause emotions that we don't detect. We don't know. Like, we're hungry, we know the word hangry, right? When you're hungry, you can get angry because of the hunger, but that can also cause so many other emotions that we're not aware of, prejudices that can cause. Like, she goes into certain law scenarios where judges ruled different way when they were hungry versus not hungry, so on and so forth. But the bottom line is, like, each culture the region you grew up, so on and so forth, can create different emotions, or get us to train in certain emotions. For example, just going by my example, India, honking is not considered anything offensive, versus US, honking means certain, somebody is angry or trying to alert someone of doing something wrong or something like that, right? Or honking them to make sure they're paying attention. In India, it's a common thing where it's just more of a courtesy, like, hey, I'm coming right beside you, whatever. Like, I'm driving and watch out for me, or kind of deal. So, but, as soon as I'm here in US, my emotions are triggered differently when I hear a honk versus when I'm in India. That's a simple example. And you can go into many cultural, issues, how we grew up. If you grew up in a different country versus you're in US, so on and so forth, how different things can trigger different emotions. And the language used used for that emotion can also differ. English versus a different language might have different kind of scenarios for emotions, so on and so forth. But the bottom line is, that's what Lisa gets into on. It's all not real. Our emotions are made up. Again, actual emotional feeling, like anger is anger, but how that gets triggered is made up. That's the point. Feeling sad is not made up. You feel sad, that's the body, feeling things, right? That's not what she's talking about. What she's talking about is the reasons we get angry, sad, happy, so on, is all kind of made up, is part of the training the brain creates, it records to feel that sadness and all. Anyway, great book to read, to understand the brain and the emotions, and how false it is, how not real it is. If you get into meditation, if you listen to the spiritual gurus, that's what they're saying, and that's what science also proves. So it's one and the same, kind of, in my mind anyway. Anyway, great book to read. How Emotions Are Made. I would say must read for everyone to understand that, and to watch out when we get triggered or emotional, and to kind of peel back and understand that that's probably part of the model the brain built.